Hello, welcome to the Quiet Mind and Soul podcast. On this episode, we are going to be talking about my journey to self discovery and self love and acceptance. So, this episode, I just finished recording, so I had to come back and do the intro because I just hit play and start recording with absolutely no idea what I was going to talk to you about. And just to give you a little bit of an introduction about me, I am currently a biomedical scientist. I work at the hospital in the lab, and I decided to study biomedical scientist um, to help people, obviously, with their healthcare. But the thing is that I work in the lab, so I work a lot in the backstage, so to speak. So I don't work directly with people. And I always struggled a lot with purpose, and I'm still finding my purpose. I guess I found it already. And my purpose in this world is to actually be a coach. So I would coach people and help them, especially women that are perfectionists and are dealing with imposter syndrome, self-doubt. They are procrastinating and really struggling to take a step to achieve their goals and their dream life, basically, and find their purpose. And so that's what I was put in this world to do. And this episode is going to be me rambling for 25 minutes or so about my journey, and you'll get to know a little bit about me. And this is just an episode. Well, I will aim to get this podcast to be a documentation. Yes, is that a word? I think so. Of my journey. So I hope you find this interesting, and hopefully you can relate to some of the goofy things that I say. And if you do, be sure to connect with me on Instagram, and I would love to help out in some aspect that I can. And if you are interested, I'm also doing a beta program. So I'm testing a coaching program, and I currently have 3 spots to be beta clients. So if you're interested in that, go ahead to my Instagram page at Coach Joana Calado, and in my bio you'll find a link. So you just fill out the form, and I'll be in contact with you very shortly, so we can get started on your dreams and stop that procrastination that is just keeping you stuck in your own head. So that's it. Let's go to the episode. Today I just decided to record this episode on something that I don't even know what it's going to be, but I just had all of these ideas in my mind, and it's already 11 o'clock in the evening and everyone is in bed, and I just thought, why not record this episode and just let everything that goes in my mind through my mind and just let it all out. Because when we allow our subconscious mind to just release everything, all of our thoughts and the emotions that we are experiencing, those are the ones that really matter, because it's not edited, so it's not, you don't filter everything consciously, and you're not just analyzing all the words that come out of your mind, out of your mouth, and you're just, okay, you make mistakes, you move on. You're not overthinking, you're not dwelling in the things that you have to say. And it's so much better. You live such more freely that way, because you're not judging yourself, you're not judging what other people might be thinking of you, and that leaves you with no fear and no shame and no guilt, and you can be yourself, and you just don't have to be concerned with anyone else but yourself. And this is very good to your mental health, basically, because you get to know yourself when you remove those filters from your mind and you just let it all out, and you just sit in the sofa like I am right now and just press play and say a few things that you are thinking. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because when it is perfect, no one relates to what you're saying. It's perfect audio or perfect script. If it's scripted, people will know, and it's so much more unnatural, and just people don't relate. They zone out, they just listen for a bit. Oh yeah, she sounds like this is a radio station, so I better listen to radio because at least I have music. So they get bored with you really fast. And some of my limiting beliefs, some of the things that I believed and sometimes still do when I'm in my lowest moments, is that what I say doesn't matter and no one will really care about what I say or what I think, or that I'm boring. I've had people say that I'm very calm and that I have a very hypnotic voice. And that hypnotic voice, I really don't know if it's a good thing or they were just calling me boring and just trying to be nice, saying that I have an hypnotic voice. But the calm thing got me thinking, am I really calm? Because in my mind, I'm not calm at all. My mind is always racing, always expecting the next activity to jump through my thoughts and to keep my mind busy, okay? And I guess that I think so much that I'm left with no words. And maybe people think that I'm calm because I speak in a manner that portrays that I have all of this. I don't know, I'm just so sure of myself, so confident, when in fact I'm not. I just analyze everything that I say, and I just have this tendency to make everything perfect. And a lot of times I just ramble like I am doing right now, so I don't even know if someone really does the same thing or just cares about, again, a limiting belief that people don't care about what I have to say. But I'm sure that a lot of people are relating to this and are experiencing the same thing. And I just ramble so much, and then I think that I just don't want to show up, because it's so much easier to not show your true colors. At least to me, it is easier to not show your true colors, because that way you're not exposing yourself, and the good and the bad. So if you're not exposing the bad, people won't call you out. They won't say uh that, oh, you're such a failure, or oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're just dumb, or you just have no idea what you're saying. And if you're not showing the good parts, that's also protecting you in a way, because you're not giving people the opportunity for them to get let down by you in some point in the future. Because I feel like a lot of people, me included at some point in my life, that we don't put ourselves out there because we are afraid to be successful, and what will come with that success. We have When we are successful, people might be jealous of us, or might be just sending a lot of bad energy. So I believe in energies, okay, and I believe in karma and all of that crap. So I feel like if I'm putting myself out there, and if I'm showing myself to be happy, people will be jealous of my happiness and will send me bad energy. Again, this is another limiting belief. And the same way that I don't show my negative emotions, I guess, because I don't want to put that pressure on other people, and I want to keep their image of me as whatever they say, that I'm confident and calm and put together. Because all my life I've been told that. So when I was little, oh, such a pretty girl, so well behaved, and so put together, and so mature. So I always had. So I am an INFJ, for those who don't know. That's my personality type. So I'm basically an old soul. And when I was a child, I played with kids of my age, but it was always I always connected more with adults. And I throughout my whole life, my teenage years, my uni, and now in my young adult life, I always connected more with older people. Um, and that in a way made me feel like I didn't fit my generation, if that makes any sense. So I didn't like to go out, partying, drinking, doing the most common things that teenagers and young adults do. And I've always was more interested in reading books, or just talking about subjects that really matter, not just superficial things like vanity metrics, or um, makeup and clothes, and more superficial. I'm not saying anything bad about those topics, but it's just that my interest is more um, surrounding deeper subjects. So I remember once, oh, poor teacher, this guy. So it was my science teacher when I was about, I would say, maybe 11 years old. And I've always wanted to ask this question to someone. I think I eventually did to my parents, but they just said, oh, never mind, I don't know. So they just pushed me over. But this teacher, it was his lucky day that day. Um, we were talking about the origin of the planet Earth and the universe, and how everything began. And I asked him this question. So I just lifted my finger, waited for when he called me, and I just said, Professor, why are we in this world? Why do we even exist? Oh, poor guy. He was just saying, oh, and then he got into the whole idea of, oh, God put us in this world. But then I thought, okay, God, yes, I was brought up Christian, so I knew all about God. But then I also had this idea of the science that I was learning from this exact teacher. And I won't get into religion or anything, but my point is, I'm just rambling again, but my point with this is that I was always more interested in deeper subjects and just something that connects us to our origin and our deepest interests and basically our purpose in our life. And I've always searched, I guess, for my purpose unconsciously because I didn't know. I never knew exactly because back then, so I was 11 and I was already questioning myself. Why was I in this planet? Why was I doing this? At 11 years old. And I remember stuff from when I was maybe 5, 3 even, 3 years old. Obviously, I didn't know what it was, but I have this feeling that I can remember, and I just felt like I wasn't like everyone else, and not in a sad way. So I connected with people. I always had friendships and always had connections, real connections, but it was always like weird thing that I never had this 100% connection with people my age, basically. And I knew I was different, and I knew that it, we must be here in this world to do something, not just to live, die, have kids, whatever, not have kids, get married, not get married, buy a house, buy a car, and that's it. That's our life. No, to me, that was not it. Ever since 11 years old, I had to choose. When I went to uni, I had to choose a degree. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I knew I'd like to work in the lab. That's something that I always knew I liked because I liked science. But I had no idea, and I I I just was always growing up with people that wanted to be doctors, wanted to be nurses. They knew what they wanted to do, and I never knew. And that thought alone created anxiety in me. And but again, this is all unconscious, okay? So I only understood all of this maybe 1 year ago. Because all of this anxiety, all of this pressure that I was putting myself under, it was always caused by me unconsciously. And so, yeah, all of this to say that I always felt like I didn't belong, and I was trying to find my place. And it was only when I started to actually work in my field of expertise when I finished my degree. I learned a lot, obviously, learning how to adult. That's another thing I thought people. So I had my parents in a pedestal, and I just thought that they knew everything about every single thing in the universe. So if I asked them something, they must have known because they were adults. And so I thought, okay, when I'm going to when I'll be an adult, I'll just know everything because I'm an adult. And for some reason, I thought that adults would be presented with this manual, and when they reached 18 or 21 or whatever age, they would have all of their life figured out, and they would have all of the answers of the universe. And then got to that age and understood that it was not quite like that. and that was tough. Yeah, that was difficult to understand that being an adult is not easy. And we have to figure it out. We might look like we have everything together in our minds, but when we come home, when we don't have everything figured out, it's tough. And I thought that by changing my environment, I thought that because I was born in Portugal, and I thought that by changing my environment, changing the country that I was working, that I was living, I thought that just a fresh start would give me some clarity that I needed. So I moved to the United Kingdom to work in my area. Yeah, it was really good in the beginning, and it still is. I cannot say it's not. But what it all comes down to is that I thought that by changing my environment, changing countries, and giving a fresh start would change everything. But the reality is no. The only thing that changed is really my environment. My mindset is still the same. It was news for 1 year, 2 years, but now all of the self-doubt and all of the ideas that I had about my purpose and why I am in this world and what difference can I make, all of that came back. And this was maybe around 3 months that all of these questions started to rise again. And I thought, okay, I've done all that I could. So I did my degree. I studied very hard. I'm very fortunate and lucky to be working in my area, doing what I studied and what I said that I was going to do. But I understand that this is not my life's purpose. So I was not placed in this world to do what I'm doing career-wise. And all of this to say that for the past 3 months I've been in a very intensive self-discovery journey, and it has been great. Has ups and downs like everything in life. And I just wanted to make this episode and to really start this podcast because the first episode was scripted, and probably you can tell the difference by listening to the first episode. I won't delete it because I want this podcast to be. Ooh, an email came through. I want this podcast to be as honest and real as possible, and I think it really helps when you see the beginning. When you see the beginning of someone, and when they are documenting their journey and how it can help others. So yeah, I have no idea what this episode was about. I don't even know how I'm going to name this episode, but I know that I am going to continue to document my journey, and this is going to be just raw recordings. I'm not going to edit everything. And yeah, this is going to be my creative mind talking. I didn't script it anything. I had no idea that I was going to do this episode, but I just felt this calling. And that's another thing. I run by intuition a lot of times, and I used to think that I run by logic, and I used to think that I was this very analytical person, again with overthinking and overanalyzing everything. And now I've come to terms and just accepted that I'm more an intuition and feeling person. So if I have a problem, an obstacle, a situation in my life, what I tend to do is I think logically of everything. So I even make a list, if that's the case, of good things and bad things about that certain situation. And I do that, okay? So that's step one, or step A, let's say. And then at the same time, I double check with my gut feeling. So I connect with my body and do a little bit of a meditation technique or breathing technique, and just ask to my intuition to tell me if this is the right direction to go. And if both match, the logical aspect and the feeling, emotional, intuitive aspect match, then it's a full on yes, and I go for it. If they don't match, depending on which one it is, I have to keep, I would say analyze, but it's not analyze. I would have to keep in mind that it's something to come back to. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing this podcast. Hopefully I will journal my experience. And that is all that I have for you today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. That is at Coach Joana Calado. I will leave all of the details in the episode notes. And I will see you on the next episode next week. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope it wasn't too much rambling. And I will see you next week. Bye.